Why doesn't God stop wars? It's a fascinating issue because most of the people in the world, it seems today, are going to war or defending their country because of God. And yet they're all fighting one another. It's a strange place we live in on the planet Earth. But beyond all the rhetoric, what are the real motives for going to war, and what's the ultimate resolution? After all, if God is so good and so powerful, why doesn't he just stop it? We're going to be talking with a pastor of the United Church of God, and his name is John Cafourek, about these issues. Hi, John.
Hi, Howard.
Beyond the rhetoric, what are the real motives for going to war? Because always people say they're going to war for the loftiest of reasons.
Right. Well, the Bible reveals what the inner motivation is. It has to do with human nature and its bent. In James chapter 4, verses 1 and 2, it says, "Where do wars and fights come from among you? Do they not come from your desires for pleasure that war in your members? You lust, and you do not have. You murder and covet and cannot obtain. You fight and war." And so this is very descriptive, and it's talking about the inner motives of human nature, the desire to obtain, to get, the desire to back it up sort of with force, that I'm right, and that means you have to be wrong.
And so, of course, you can see that in World War II. Hitler wanted Europe.
Yes.
He had a desire to be the dictator that set up 1,000 years of a German reign, a Reich of the world. He wanted to eliminate whole races. You certainly see that in the dictators. Why doesn't a just and loving God put a stop to it? Why does God, who loves the earth and loves every person in the earth, just make it all stop?
Well, that's a thought-provoking question. You know, a lot of the leaders of this world and religious leaders ought to be asked that question because it is thought-provoking. But the Bible does tell us that God has a plan. It reveals that there's a plan and that war is allowed because it fits within the plan that God is working out. And there are three specific reasons that we can look at within that plan that God has mapped out for humanity as to why God allows warfare. First of all, God is allowing free moral agency. That means that we have the freedom to choose. And if God did not allow war, he could not allow then that freedom to choose, because you just look at the history of humanity and it is replete and strewn with wars. Wars and more wars. And so that's what it would take. It would take God saying, I will not allow you to do what you have chosen to do in order to do away with war. Well, so it would do away with free moral agency or choice.
Okay. And what about the need to just change human nature?
Right. That's another one that ties in with it, because it illustrates, and the record that we have now over about 6,000 years shows that human nature is very flawed. We don't know the way to peace. We don't know how to get along with even our neighbor in a lot of cases, say nothing about someone that we've never met that may live thousands of miles away from us and believe different things than what we do. And so it teaches something very important there as well. And mankind also needs to learn lessons from war. We are writing bloody lessons in terms of our history, that there has to be a better way. And in spite of humanity, you know, we can't find it. We've had lots of noble-minded individuals who said, now, this is the way to peace. It hasn't worked out because human nature's there.
Do people really learn from wars? It just seems like one sets up the next one. Do people actually learn? Do nations learn as a result of the experience of war?
Well, there are cases where nations do learn, at least on a temporary basis. You know, there is a different thought when you've gone through horrendous suffering. It's sobering, it's sad, and there's a desire to prevent it again. But human nature is such that it doesn't take very long to forget those things.
Would Japan after World War II and Germany after World War II, would they be examples of nations who didn't forget and therefore they're still peaceful and loving and so forth?